Hi, I'm Nicky Grist, and this is my car. This car was very special to me in my career as a professional co-driver, as I won my first World Championship rally in a Group A Toyota Celica GT4, and I also won my first Network Q RAC, Wales Rally GB, or as all us old fogies call it, the RAC Rally. If I was going to get a car, I've been in a lot of wonderful things, but the memories, particularly with this model, is really quite special to me. There's very few of these around, only because they were so popular and they've been rallied almost to death. And while there are a few around, there's very few that are genuine with all the right parts and the right specifications. But this is a TTE Group A specification Toyota Celica GT4. And it was the most successful Celica to that point. The 165 came in, this is a 185, and then we had a model called the 205, which came afterwards, but this was the cream of the crop. Do you want to have a look around it? Okay, this is where all the action happens here. The Group A period was great for manufacturers because all the cars had to have the standard shape of a production car at the time. And even the engine had to have standard exhaust manifolds and standard inlet manifolds in a way of trying to control the power output. Saying that, although those two parts are standard, and the heads and the blocks are more or less the same, everything is always tweaked a little bit. And it's surprising when you go under the hood how very little is actually out of a bog standard car. Things manufactured with much better materials, much stronger, much better quality to allow them to really push the performance to the absolute limit. But the transmission is a 6-speed X-Track gearbox based on the time with magnesium gearbox casings, but this car was very, very reliable. From the engine to the transmission, the rear differential, everything about this car was built for strength and reliability. And I think that's one of the benefits that this car had and why it was so successful. In terms of horsepower, with modern technology now and better fuels, we're probably running more horsepower than we had back in the day. And although I drive it, I'm not Juha Kankkunen, but I do thoroughly enjoy the excitement of that original car, and it sounds just the same. Okay, so this is where the action really happened. Of course, there's one side for the driver, set up exactly how he would want it. Seating position, all important, to be able to press the pedals, catch the steering wheel, jam the handbrake, and keep control of the car. But from the co-driver perspective, this was set up very much for me to allow me to do my job, which is quite critical in the relationship, because while the driver's pressing the pedals and turning the steering wheel, the co-driver reading those pace notes is actually controlling the speed and in many ways keeping the driver on the road. So that relationship is critical, which is why we had to have our side set up accordingly. So my seating position, I always like to have angle in my legs to use as a shock absorber. When the driver's pressing the pedals, they can brace themselves quite easily. But for me, having my legs angled in a certain position allowed me to brace myself nicely in the car. I also sit a little bit lower down, and I also have a very laid back position here. And I did that purely because when on big jumps and dips and compressions, you don't have the shock going up your spine. It's more or less going across your back. So that helped keep my body in good condition. Unfortunately, to this day, I have a good physicality in that regard. In terms of the equipment for myself, the important thing for nighttime stages is a map light. So at least at night I can clearly see the pace note book and everything else. And then of course, as well as reading the road book. Now the road book is a detailed document showing us exactly the route we had to take, both in a stage and in the road sections, with interval and total mileage, of which this little gizmo here gave me the opportunity to have the time of day, how much fuel we're carrying on board, give us all these different intervals, and we've got various pedals on the footplate to allow me to reset all of this. So it's more or less my office. This is where everything is actioned, and this car is actually set up perfectly for the way I like it. Now, this car was first produced for Rally Australia in 1992 and used by Carlos Sainz, and then it was in Repsol colours, slightly different colour scheme to this. But when Castrol came on board in 1993, this car was used again with Didier Auriol in Sweden. My era in this car was around this iconic livery with the white, red and green, and it's even been carried over now onto the latest Toyota in the British Championship, the Yaris. A beautiful car with our fantastic red, white and green overalls, and of course matched up with Juha Kankkunen and Nicky Grist. And Juha gave me my first victory in Argentina in 1993. I hope you've enjoyed me showing you around the car, and thank you very much for your time.